homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Let's talk about using a tiller as your number one plowing implement. Now, I use my tiller as plow, tiller, cultivator, all kinds of stuff. That 4-foot tiller is pretty awesome. I just got done tilling a 60 by 100-foot section. Now, what I do is in the spring, I come out and I till in March. It's not time to plant yet, but I till. And what that does is any weeds that are there that have managed to live through the winter, that takes them out. Then as the spring progresses, the weeds will start popping up. And guess what? I plow again after those weeds have germinated. My tiller only goes down between 6 and 8 inches, depending on the slope of the ground and all that stuff. So it's only going to cultivate down 6 inches. Well, all of the weed seeds are in the top 2 inches of soil. The top 2 inches. Weeds don't pop up from 6 feet down in the ground. They're in the top part of the soil. So in April, I go through and plow again. Of course, April I plant my potatoes. But April I go through and plow again. And that kills another set of weeds in that 6-inch layer. Remember, it's turning it all over, not just the bottoms. I kill more weeds in that 6-inch layer. Then by May, when it's time to plant again, then I take and plow this one more time. And that kills another set of weeds that have already sprouted. You give them about a month in between. That way they can't go to seed, but you kill them off. That's the way I killed this pasture grass that's here in the garden. This garden is made out of the same thing that my pasture is made out of. There's ryegrass, there's timothy, there's tall fescue, there's Johnson grass. There's all kinds of grasses in my pasture. But by doing this, I've eradicated them over a 4-year span in my garden. Okay, I don't have problems with pasture grasses in my garden anymore. I have problems with weeds like everybody else, but not pasture grass. So, what happens is, by May, when I plow again, most of the weeds that are going to germinate have already germinated. And I've got those out of there. Now, the late germinators, I have to get with cultivation as the year goes by. But I garden in wide rows. So, in wide rows, I've got plenty of room to run my tiller in between the rows and drive my tractor. Now, when I was a young man, I used a hand tiller. I'm getting too old for that crap. And so I plant things in wide rows, 5 or 6 feet apart. And I found a way to plant corn. Last year we planted corn in wide rows and was able to have plenty of corn was produced that way, except for the bears. Bears helped me out with it. Hopefully this year the bears will leave me be. But, so I plant everything in wide rows, whether it's broccoli, potatoes, sweet potatoes, whatever. I plant them in wide rows so I can till them with my tractor, till on either side, and then just go through with a hoe and keep the weeds cleaned out. Makes life so much simpler. Of course, I've got a big piece of ground. This first plowing was part of my garden. This is the hill garden. It's about 100 feet by, I'll get it out here. It's about 100 by 120. So I've plowed half of it. I plowed 60 by 100 today. I'm getting ready to plant onions here in a minute, and you'll see that in another video. So that's how I use my tractor tiller to make things so much easier in the garden. It cuts down on weeds. It cuts down on hoeing. It cuts down on ways to tend, ways to harvest. Okay? Harvest time, I'm not having to fight through big, tall weeds to get to nothing. It's all right there, and I've been keeping it clean with the tractor. So, okay, at the beginning of the video, I promised you a tiller tip. It'll help you with your cultivating. It'll help you with all the different stuff that you need to do with your tiller. It'll help you plow in straight rows. Let me explain. And I'll do it from behind the camera pointing at the tiller. Whenever you see me plowing, I always plow till the tiller, the right side of the tiller is touching the other plowed ground. The reason for that is it helps me to make center rows. Right here, when I made this first row down through there, I didn't make it straight. Well, when I made this pass, this one, I straightened it up. Okay, so I didn't worry about where I hit in that row. This row's good and straight now. The row right here beside it, this one is good and straight now. And that one was made right beside it. The way I do that is I focus on something down in the field to keep the center of my bucket lined up with. But when it comes to your tiller, if you look at my tiller, you'll notice it is slewed to the right. Okay, it's all the way outside of my tires. See the tire there? It's all the way out here. The edge of the tiller is. And that thing that sticks up right there is a foot, which I forgot to raise and tilled half my garden here before I raised it. That sticks up, and that basically the inside of it shows you where the tines are. Well, you'll notice that the tines come all the way outside this back tire, and I do that for a reason. See, on this side, see, the whole outside edge is lined up with the back tire. So I've got it slewed to the right on purpose, so that way I can set the tires just on the edge of the plowed ground, and it all gets plowed. And it lets me take the least amount of passes possible to do a plowing job. Saves on gas, saves on time, and where this is out like this, I can turn my head around and see it pretty good. And I'm going to make me a mirror that'll make it easier. I can see it pretty good so that when it's time to cultivate, I don't have to drive my tractor right on top of what I'm cultivating. I can drive it close to the side, and it gets cultivated close by the tiller. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes one, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, time for me to get on to the next thing.